YouTube, so you can catch the live stream. Just search for Smooth 981 and you can be part of the conversation. Our analysts this morning, Lakunle and Devoe. Good morning.
Morning, President Zibby. Morning, Lagos. And it's good to be here again this morning.
Yes, indeed, concerned citizen Lakunle. Yes, indeed. All right, so let's start off with Vanguard. Okay, and this one has to do with the situation regarding JAM results. Now, JAM has announced the suspension of a young girl from writing its UTME exam for 3 years over allegations bordering on forgery of the 2023 results. Devoe?
Cool JAM results. Well, you see, the story's been all over. It's almost been a drama of some sort. And I think details are scattered from it exactly when, and I think it was announced on Monday, when JAM mentioned that there were some fake results being paraded from Anambra and Kaduna. And then after that, we heard the response from the candidates involved, who, the young lady who put out a video in defense of what was said against her. And after that, I think the whole outrage and mixed reactions from the general public. Right now, JAM has said that it concluded their investigation and that the young lady from Anambra would be, how did they put it? They would suspend her from writing the exam for 3 years, okay? And that many civil rights groups, some have reacted saying that they are investigating this matter in an improper way, and that it's a violation of her human rights. The public affairs head of JAM, that's Dr. Fabian Benjamin, he's been there for quite some time. He came out yesterday on a broadcast station and literally made a case as to why her paper was fake. And
the results, you mean?
The results, yes. And then I think the father of the young lady did speak up also that JAM was trying to frustrate the success of her daughter, of his daughter. Now, you see, if you go in and out of this story, and if you take your time to put the facts together, you will understand what happened, especially for those who live in Nigeria. And I want to start this morning by stating a clear understanding. I'm very disappointed with JAM, especially in how they went about this, because the way they have gone about it, it looks as if it's JAM against the young lady. It's not supposed to be that way. Yes, on TV, the JAM spokesman said that JAM is not against any candidate. They're just against maintaining the integrity of their systems. However, JAM is an institution, okay? Now, what that means is that they do this for practically 1.5 million Nigerian students every year. Now, where there are discrepancies, where there are issues, it doesn't have to go personal. It literally can, one, have protected, even though, there's a debate over her age, whether she's 16 or 19. But if you go by what is, if you check the NQR code, it said 2004, which makes her 19. Whether she's seen as an adult or as a child, the point is JAM must protect their own constituency. And what I mean by that is this doesn't even need an investigation. It's almost gone into a media trial. Oh, we heard her saying, oh, the DSS were invited. The police who were supposed to have heard that there was some cybercrime involved here should have stepped in. It didn't even have to go this far. Why? Simply because once JAM realizes that someone is parading a result that is not in tandem with all the other results, it's clear that it was compromised one way or the other. Even instead of going into a what do you call it, a on-air battle, JAM should be the one apologizing to her parents and the young lady that, oh, we're sorry that you've been scammed. Just like every other scam case, you have been scammed, and we're apologies that this is not how to check results. This is the manner in which you check results. Even calling the operator, the the telco operator, it's not necessary. Why? Because year on year, many people have different issues with the examination body, right? And at the end of the day, you have to take your case. Now, further still, JAM could now go on a campaign to educate people, the same way we did with, remember, the elections, when we're talking about know how to stamp uh, your on the ballot so that your vote is not voided. Yes, voter education. The same way I had to do with NIN in terms of having the same name on all your documentation. The same way we had to do with every other document from government or a government agency that needs some level of authenticity. The same way we did for passports. The same way we did for that yellow card that people pay 1,500 for. Sorry, I'm outing people. 1,500 naira for at the airport. Yellow card. Eh? Now, you see, that's how they should have gone about this. We wouldn't have even gone into this social media war that we have expected. And then what happens? Instead of banning the young lady is either shown what the original result was or asked to retake it. Come on, Jam. I think you can do better in terms of how you manage crisis and also how you protect your constituents.
Now, Jam obviously is going to try to protect its own integrity, right?
Yes.
And this is where the police should come in, because I mean, if there is a clear case of forgery, the police should investigate.
So then Jam, seeing that, because her case was not the only one. Remember, there was a case in Kaduna.
Mm-hmm.
There were other people involved, which the Jam spokesman spoke about. Then you can get the police in under cyber crimes to say, look, we have people who are attempting. I mean, there's even an app online that helps people to manipulate some of these things. It didn't start today. So there are ways around this that they could have done this, still kept their integrity. People have said, oh, okay, because we all know, I mean, is it only JAM, WAEKINKO, or NECO, how people just before the exam, all the questions and answers are out. How did they do that? Or even after you finish the result, people have a way of manipulating. I mean, in this world today, technology enables that. But JAM could have handled this in a better way, which would have kept their sanctity, their integrity, and even protected the constituents.
Right. Let us know what your thoughts are. 0809 444 981. You can also tweet at Smooth981, and don't forget we're streaming live on YouTube as well. So just search for Smooth981 and you can catch the live stream, catch us in the studio, and of course post a comment underneath. And let's move on to the next story, and this one is coming from The Nation. The federal government has restated its resolve to reverse shortages in the medical personnel. Now, the government is assuring Nigerians that it's begun efforts to help ensure that health workers who have left the system are replaced. Lakunle?
Okay, every time we have this conversation, I'm excited to see the how of this conversation.
That word
But
doesn't
all
exist
we
in
just
Nigeria.
see is we will do something, we will reverse, we are ready, we will, for at least for the last 12 years or thereabout. That's all we heard about this same matter. Now, a little bit of arithmetic this morning. The World Health Organization recommends that in a normal situation where everything is okay, there should be at least one doctor to not more than 600 people. The average, the national average in Nigeria today is one doctor to 10,000. That's according to the NMA itself from their website. I think the last time I checked, that's about the number. It means that the Nigerian registered doctors that can practice in Nigeria today are approximately 25,000 people. Out of these 25,000 we are talking about, some of them don't even live here, but they pay their practice fee annual. I know that for a fact, right? Now, there are a few things that I put out there. So, okay, so let's assume that we really want to reverse this thing. What are the things that we need to do? What are the basic things that these people complain about? Their remuneration, big number one. Work conditions, which include equipment, shift timing, and everything that's attached to the kind of work they do. 3, training and retraining. We were here some time ago when a minister says that we had more than enough doctors, that the ones that want to leave can leave. We were here another time, another minister said that his tailor was a medical doctor, that they can go and do other things. So that was coming from government officials, right? Having said that, Then again, what is the capacity of Nigerian medical institutions to turn out trained medical doctors over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years? What is our plan? Is there a plan for doing that? If there is that plan, when are we going to activate it? Or is it already activated? Today that I know, all the medical institutions in Nigeria put together as accredited by NUC cannot do more than 5,000 a year, right? Out of that 5,000, let's assume, right, because of how pessimistic I am about this thing, 50% of them have the ambition to leave Nigeria immediately they graduate from medical school. And if they do, we keep training doctors cheaply here for other climes to benefit. Just before the show, we were saying, I am sure that there's nowhere in the world that this 1 to 600 is achieved. If it is achieved anywhere, maybe, possibly, maybe Cuba, yes, okay. Because Cuba is the only one that I know that has a deliberate plan to export their medical personnel. The country benefits from when their medical personnel leaves. UK today, you know the number of Nigerian trained doctors that are there in the US, in Canada, in South Africa, everywhere in the world, in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar. We can name them all over the place. Nigerians are moving, and the reason is because of those things I have said before: the remuneration, the work conditions, the training and retraining. We're here when, if you don't know people after you graduate, your 1 year residency is a pipe dream. When are we going to get all those things going? So until we pull out this plan, we put all these things out there, or maybe we can also go back. Why do we need medical doctors? Because we fall ill. We have medical conditions that need to be attended to. Maybe if we go back and give ourselves better living conditions, and then less people will fall ill, less people will need medical attention, and then the 24,000 that we have today will suffice. But if we don't do it, maybe a combination of that and ramping up our plan to produce more medical doctors, maybe if we do those two together, anything else outside that is just hot air. We can speak about this thing from here till tomorrow. Every aspect of our life in Nigeria needs some kind of some form of what do we call that thing? State of emergency declaration. Okay. And this is one of them. And another story is here about Borno State, but that's another one to talk about. That's a different one. But we need to be deliberate. We need to put this thing on. We need to be clear what we're doing with all of these things. Otherwise, we will just be wasting our time talking to the air.
All right, let's look at some messages we have coming through. Osahon says, JAM did all that was required of it in this instance, escalate to the appropriate authority for further investigation, and take steps and penalties based on its own investigation. Kuro says, on the JAM issue, the speaker nailed it. The media trial is completely unnecessary. The government is used to stating goals without plans. When they fail, we wonder. Reverse the ratio of medical personnel to citizens needs a plan, not announcements for public sympathy. We're still waiting for the plan around student loans. Dakball says, good morning. I don't think JAM were entirely wrong. The girl went to press and they reacted. Yinka Bolu says, in the beginning, JAM never made any noise about this. When she was promised 3 million naira, was JAM aware? No, and neither did they intervene. All that happened under the Ministry of Education in Anambra State, and they called the attention of JAM. So why should JAM apologize to her parents? JAM's system was never hacked. There are apps out there that generate these results. So how is that JAM's problem? This was blown out of hand when a certain group attributed her score to some political reasons. A crime actually was committed. And let's see, Danokuda says, JAM should have managed this in a more mature way. The way they went about it is a big blight on their integrity. And Godwin says, JAM reacted this way because some Nigerians and parents of the young girl want to vilify JAM just like INEC. All right, you're listening to Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. Do stay with us. The show continues.
Oh, wow. Where are you? Today you decided to come.
What?
Today you decided to come.
Excuse me.
I don't know
Are
why.
you in a
Yeah.
state of dilemma, wondering the best way to grow?
We can hear you, Lakunle. I don't know the live stream can
ARM
hear
is all
you.
about sharing your financial
Zips, this your laughter.
Oh
Do you drink
my
alcohol?
God. Not in the morning, no.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
that. You're 7:59, babe, right?
Yeah, more
Correct.
like
You see any
10
Port
for
Harcourt
night.
people know they drink alcohol.
CPH.
Ah,
That is a stereotype.
I know plenty now.
Yeah.
And I'm actually a social drinker. I barely drink.
ARM has
Barely.
everything you need to go from where
Barely.
you are and where you need to be. Start your wealth
That's how
creation
to actually
today
do it.
by
Social
downloading
drinking.
the ARM
Not
One
one
app
that
from
you
Google
deliberately
Play
go and
Store
sit down
or iOS Store.
and
There are
kill like
great
100
options.
bottles.
Like, I will have more
Like
than a glass of
You can
wine
start with us
or
low
champagne if
as
I'm out.
$1,000.
Right.
Like,
That's amazing.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
drink
For more
fine.
a lot,
information,
yeah.
visit
And I can still do that. If I want to party, then I'm
ARM.com
not having
or
any alcohol. It's just water.
I mean, maybe when you're safe friends.
Well, I mean, even if I'm safe, I feel like alcohol slows you down. When you have a
Does it?
natural high,
Okay,
like
you have a natural high. Okay, that's cool.
you don't need any extras.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
Oh my days, it's 7:49 in the morning. They won't see what we're talking about.
Devoe is just
Smooth 98.1, love music, love life. This is Freshly Pressed. We're looking at the news stories that are making the headlines. So let us know what your thoughts are. 0809 4440981. That's the WhatsApp number to be a part of the conversation. We're streaming live as well on YouTube, so you can catch the live stream. And you can also tweet at Smooth981. Don't forget the hashtag, it's Freshly Pressed 981. From Vanguard, Igbo leaders of thought said 53 years after the Civil War and its negative consequences, right now the Southeast needs a new beginning and a template to move forward.
Well, couldn't be better said. This Igbo Leaders of Thought, yes, is what I call it, a social conscious organization that have been speaking on tribal matters regarding what I call it, the situation with the Southeast. And they're saying 53 years after. I like the timeline they've given. That's like more than half a century. They need a new beginning and templates. Now, luckily, you mentioned about the how. You see, when they say new beginning, that's the promise. The template is the how. They've said since then they've been mistreated and marginalized, okay? And they need a template that can be anchored on commitment of true federalism, devolution of powers to the federating units to ensure a new tomorrow built on sincere leadership. Now, let's just scrap all of that because that is big English when it concerns Nigerian politics. Now, as they were saying this and trying to push for this new sense of thought amongst the Southeasterners, they said that they were saying this whilst IPOB, that's Indigenous People of Biafra, a proscribed group, was debunking the rumored 1 week sit at home. I think I heard about it last week where they said people were leaving town just to avoid that 1 week sit at home, and IPOP was debunking it. Now, why am I adding that to this story? Because this is the state of affairs of life within the Southeast, and these Igbo leaders did come together to state that the new governors, the old governors, that's Uzodimma of Imo and Soludo of Anambra, should team up to work with the new governors of Abia, Enugu, and Ebonyi to actually strengthen the Southeastern Governors Forum, and that they've seen that across the years, these 53 years, that their region is at the bottom of the political ladder. Now, remember, we've always spoken about politics being consensus and numbers. So this is what you actually need. You need to come together. You need some strength of position to be able to move things forward. And at the end of the day, the 2-point agenda that they based it on was restructuring Nigeria and pressing for core infrastructural development. And I think that's actually the one that actually matters. But I would say this, right? This is just one group among many. The Southeast, it's hard to speak about Nigeria without talking about their contribution. And when I say their contribution, characteristically, they are quite industrial, okay? And we see many of their indigents based in other parts of the country and even the world pushing industry. Now, one of the greatest questions I've asked is, how are you mistreated and marginalized if charity has not begun at home? And what I mean by that is, yes, you're entitled to be anywhere in this country, but I would challenge Southeasterners, Igbos, to deploy the same industrial capacity that they have used to invest, they have used to build other parts of this country, to develop other parts of West Africa and Africa. Because if you travel around Africa, you would literally see Southeasterners in various parts doing their thing, right? Use it and redevelop your own lands. I think at that point, not only would you have shown yourself worthy, it will become easier to push your political agendas at the end of the day. There's no reason why, what are the 5 states? Ebonyi, Enugu, Anambra, Imo, Abia. There's no reason why these states could not form the Dubai of Nigeria. I'm waiting for someone, and I challenge anybody to try and give me reasons why these 5 states cannot be the replica of what Dubai is to the United Arab Emirates, with all the intelligence and trade in science, with all the capacity to use little to make much more. Come on. Igbo people have something that it's just like women, the same way African people, in a way, what do you call it? They don't take full cognizance of the powers that they have in their women population. It's the same way Nigeria has not taken full cognizance of the capacity they have with Southeasterners. So these new schools of thought need to become what we are talking about on a daily basis, rather than the usual insecurity, rather than the usual kidnapping, rather than the usual very short-sighted, bigoted conversations on cessation and self-actualization. We have what it takes. If we didn't have, then we'd say we have a problem. So I really commend them, and I just hope that they can channel these new schools of thoughts amongst themselves, both local and in the diaspora, to bring about that southeastern Nigeria that we all can be proud of.
Via WhatsApp, Ian says, my last job was with an organization related to the healthcare industry. All my former colleagues that are medics have left. I mean all, not one is left. And I'm talking about no less than 50. If I were a medic, I'd have left too. Since our leaders don't care about this country, let every man go and sort himself or herself out. If you're a medic listening to me, no, we're not going to encourage people to leave, Ian. Yes, we need to build the country together. I mean, and if everyone leaves, who's going to build this? Then all we're going to do is just sit back and complain and complain and complain. So let's look at the bright side. Yes, some people have left, but who's to say they're not going to come back in the future? Yes, we want the government to do better, but we also need to ensure that as Nigerians, we, just like Devoe said, celebrate the potential that we have and try to make it work for the entire country. This one is from ML. ML says, I understand Devoe's point about JAM handling this better. However, we cannot categorically say that the people were scammed. They might have knowingly patronized the scammers. When they registered for JAM, they knew the platform on which they registered and should know where to download their results. Now, some of the schools that these young students are in are also not to blame, because I saw an interview where the JAM boss was speaking to a teacher who brought his students, and he named the school, and he said, how much are you charging your students for the JAM form? Now, apparently, the JAM form, according to the JAM boss, is 3,500 naira. But this teacher who brought his students said it was 4,007. That was the amount they took from the students and their parents. And he said, no, don't lie to me. How much did he take? And the guy's like, I can't lie, I took 4,700. And then he just calls a pupil over and says, how much did your school charge? Asked the girl at the school. Turns out they were taking 8,000 naira. So there is a lot of corruption in the system, and it's not just with JAM or with the students. Sometimes the parents and the schools are enablers of this problem.
It comes down to what I always maintain, that all these problems that we all describe about our country, it boils down to us, the people.
Self-inflicted.
All right, let's move on to the next story. 0809 4440981. That is the WhatsApp number. The National Bureau of Statistics has stated that the Southeast and South South recorded the highest increase in food prices in May.
I think it was about this time last year, um, here that I said the popular cliche that winter was coming. Um, the good news is winter is still coming, it hasn't come. And we should be happy that it hasn't come. I'm saying this with respect to food inflation. Somehow we thought that it will get worse than it is between last year and now, but somehow we have managed to keep it as where it is now. Now, the statistics that the Bureau of Statistics have put up here suggests to me that food inflation right now is about 24% and it's still rising. And now it's now going to highlight that it's in the southeast that it is highest on the average. That is not a surprise to me. I've tried to, in my head, do a little bit of justify why or how. Okay, so let's assume most of the food that we eat in Nigeria today, majority of it comes from the northern part. 2 parts of the 3 parts of the north have challenges with bandits, with terrorists on either side, right? So let's assume that before those challenges came, they were doing 100. Now they're only able to do 30. So they keep 15 for themselves and they want to send the remaining 15 to the south, for example, right? So that 15 coming to the south, if you were the owner of that 15 that is coming to the south, would you go southeast, southwest, or south-south with that 15 because of the news you hear coming out from those places? So the few that are able to brave the odds and go there know that they are placing themselves as some form of risk that is higher than the other places. That's the result we are seeing. And then last year we had flood sweep away farms, about 70-something thousand hectares of farmland, 700 and something hectares of farmland across 24 states. And that result is also part of what we're seeing. Again, it comes back to what we always say. What is our plan to ensure that these things are anticipated and we can arrest them before they happen? The most important security of any country is food security. A country that can feed itself is probably like 70 to 80% secured, and we must do something about it.
All right, well, that is all the time that we have for Freshly Pressed this morning. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your messages. Sorry we couldn't take them all. Special thanks to our analysts as well, Lakunle and Devoe, for joining us this morning. Do stay with us. There's a lot more to come on the Smooth Breakfast.
The headline.